One of my favorite things about travel is all of the things I learned, not just about the destination and new travel tips, but things about myself. Some that build my confidence and others that I realize I need to work on for my next trip. Today, I'm going to share with you the 30 lessons I learned while traveling for 30 days straight. From the very practical, like some packing mistakes I made, to the more emotional, like overcoming some big fears. Let's go. Hey y'all, and welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Christy, the Gen X Gypsy, and I just returned, or about a month ago, returned from a 30-day trip through Japan and South Korea. I think one of the best things we can do to stay youthful is to constantly be learning something. And I think one of the best ways to keep a positive attitude in life is to always be open to change. I'll admit, putting this lesson list together has been a very fun way to reminisce about the trip, but it's also been a bit cathartic too. The list is in no particular order. Some are super specific and some of the lessons are very broad. But since there are 30 of them, we should probably get started or this video is going to be way too long. Lesson number 1, you really do only need 2 pairs of shoes. I packed 4 pairs of shoes thinking that I needed all of the variety. Well, it came down to the fact that one of the pairs of shoes gave me tons of blisters and I only wore it the one time that it gave me blisters. And then the other pair I just ended up not liking all that much. So I really truly only wore 2 pairs of shoes almost the entire 30 days. So 2 pairs of shoes it is from now on. Lesson number 2, you can use Google Translate offline, and this is something I didn't know until my daughter taught me. You can use it offline to communicate with people like bus drivers or people in stores or restaurants if you don't have access to Wi-Fi or cell service. Lesson number 3, you should always bring an umbrella. I have been so adamant about not having an umbrella because I lived in the Pacific Northwest and you know, everybody always kind of giggled or laughed at people who carried umbrellas in the PNW. And we all just wore raincoats. Well, let me tell you that when you are in a downpour in a typhoon, just a raincoat is not going to keep the rest of your body dry. Having an umbrella is actually way more appropriate. So I am purchasing a small little packable umbrella that I will be taking with me on all of my trips from now on because weather happens. And lesson number 4 is that you need to be fit enough to haul suitcases through train stations and subway stations, on and off buses, up and down stairs, and it requires more fitness than just walking 10,000 steps a day. This was a huge wake-up call to me on how important strength training is for women our age, especially if we want to keep doing the fun things in life like traveling. That's why I am so excited to be partnering up with CoPilot as the sponsor for today's video. CoPilot provides affordable one-on-one personal training with personalized workouts tailored specifically for your goals. Through a series of questions, CoPilot will match you with a certified fitness coach that will work well with your personality and motivational style. Like in my case, I prefer a much more empathetic approach as opposed to, let's say, a drill sergeant style. Although my main focus is on dialing back some of these excess menopause pounds I've put on, I'm also very motivated to improve my overall strength so I can continue to do all of that adventure travel and hiking that I love to do. However, in the past, I have struggled with consistency in any workout or nutritional changes. With CoPilot, my coach is there when I need her, giving me the support, encouragement, and personalized coaching for just a fraction of the cost of in-person training. When I lived in Nicaragua, I was in great shape because I had a personal trainer that I worked with twice a week, but that was just for physical workouts. There was no nutritional guidance at all. And just working with that personal trainer in Nicaragua cost me 3 times what CoPilot cost. I have been working with my co-pilot coach for about 2 weeks now, and she has been an absolute joy to work with. She has tailored my workouts to be just the right mix of movement and strength exercises. She checks in with me before and after I've completed the workouts, and she always checks to see how my weekend has gone. In another few weeks, once the workouts are a solid part of my routine, we're going to start working on nutrition, and I'm really looking forward to that. Knowing that I am accountable to a real person gives me a huge amount of motivation not to miss a workout. Plus, once I put on some 80s dance music to work out to, it's just plain fun. Click my CoPilot link, go.mycopilot.com/GenXGypsy to get a 14-day free trial with your own personal trainer. Whether you've got similar goals to me, like shedding some of those stubborn menopause pounds and getting stronger, or you just want to age healthily, you deserve to invest in yourself and your health. CoPilot is a game changer when it comes to motivation, consistency, and flexibility at a fraction of the cost of a personal trainer. Lesson number 5, driving on the left side of the road is actually pretty easy after the first couple of days. I was so nervous and afraid and really pretty fearful about getting in a car and then an RV to drive around Japan on the left side of the road. But honestly, it was one of those things that once you start doing it, it really wasn't that challenging, and probably a good thing to make my brain have to think that way. But that was one of the places where I had to overcome a pretty big fear in order to get out there and drive. Lesson number 6, and this one's pretty specific. Don't sit in a window seat behind the bulkhead seats in comfort seating. You have almost no room under your seat in front of you to put your personal item. That was a big lesson. And while we're talking about flights, lesson number 7, you don't need to bring a blanket or a pillow with you for those long international flights. Now, I'll still bring them for overnights in the US because you don't get a blanket and a pillow. But for those long haul flights, you absolutely don't need to bring a pillow or a blanket. Lesson number 8, always take a screenshot of your directions, especially when subways and buses are involved. A quick little screenshot when you're wherever you are getting those directions, and then you don't have to worry if you don't have Wi-Fi available. Lesson number 9, if you look confused enough, someone is eventually going to help you. Now, obviously, you want to be safe too, so you don't want to look so confused that you become a target for somebody. But if you look confused enough that somebody will eventually help you, that's not a bad thing either. Lesson number 10 is not really a new lesson to me, but we kind of made this mistake while we were traveling in Japan, and that is to don't over plan your days. If you shove too much in your day and you haven't taken into consideration the time that it takes to get from one place to another, you're going to find yourself rushing around, and that is not the way to enjoy travel. Lesson number 11, stop packing things for just in case. I'm a terrible just in case packer. I always pack just in case items, and really it's not worth all that space being taken up, because honestly, what I pack for just in case, I always never need what I've packed for that, and I always end up needing something that I haven't packed that I do need. So just to try to simplify your packing by eliminating those just in case items. Lesson number 12 is to get off the beaten path. I usually travel like this anyway. I like to get out of the touristy areas and see things that aren't quite as popular. And it was just reinforced in this trip. We took an RV, well, we rented an RV, and we drove through the Japanese Alps. And that was one of my favorite parts of the whole trip. I'm so glad that we got out of Tokyo or Osaka and Kyoto and actually got to see other parts of Japan that aren't quite so touristy. But speaking of RVs, lesson number 13, always ask what's included in your accommodations. We rented the RV and it was a lovely RV. The people we rented it from were perfectly lovely. However, the RV didn't come with any sheets, blankets, pillows, none of the linens, and we weren't really prepared for that. So, just to be prepared, make sure you know what's in your accommodations, which includes, are they going to include your toiletries and things like that too? So it's not just about RVs. It's always good to know what's included in your Airbnbs and your hotel rooms too. Lesson number 14. Always have a good benchmark number for the exchange rate so it's easy for you to figure out cost on the fly. This wasn't something I had thought about before going over to Japan and Korea, but given that we were dealing with two different exchange rates, it was nice to have like a set number in my head of like what was kind of a rounded number of yen to a dollar, and then what was a kind of a rounded number of won to a dollar, so that in each place I could sort of figure out what an item cost without having to get out my phone and do the calculations. Lesson number 15. Use Instagram and TikTok to get ideas for creative ways to photographically document your trip. Now, my daughter did this and she had a couple of really fun ideas that we used to take videos and pictures during our trip, but I really wish I had studied that a little bit more because it's fun to get creative with your photography and videos to share on. If you are a person who shares on social media, it's fun to be a little more creative than just doing the same old, same old. Use those social media platforms to get creative ideas for yourself. Lesson number 16, pack less. I know I'm somebody who has been like packing, showing videos of packing stuff and trying to get as many outfits in as I can for a certain trip. But you know what? You really don't need that much. So moving forward, you're probably going to see a little more minimal packing from me. I still want to be comfortable and stylish, but I'll probably be packing a little bit less. Lesson number 17. Japanese vending machine coffee is actually really good. So don't turn your nose up at something until you've tried it, is kind of what that lesson is. Lesson number 18. Use Google Maps to find places to eat. When we were in Korea, because in Japan, Alex kind of had an idea of the places we were going to eat. But when we were in Korea and neither of us really had specific places we wanted to eat, we just used Google Maps and we looked at the ratings for those places, and we found some amazing dinner places to eat in Korea. The one Korean barbecue place we went to was like a 4.5, 5-star place, and it was amazing. And we would have never found it if we hadn't looked for it on Google Maps. Lesson number 19. I know this is not something I ever thought I would be saying, but trying McDonald's in a foreign country is actually pretty fun. I don't even eat McDonald's in the US, hardly ever. But it was just one of those things. We ended up in Kyoto in the middle of a typhoon, and McDonald's was right across the street. So that's where we went for dinner. And it was kind of fun to try McDonald's foreign country, well, try McDonald's Japanese food. That was fun. So I have to admit, I might try McDonald's in foreign countries just for curiosity's sake in the future. Lesson number 20. Really research how transportation works at your destination, especially the cities. Do you need prepaid cards? Do they take coins? Do you need to do something special in order to get on the subway or the trains? Those are all things that you should know before you get to the city. I kind of did a little bit of research before we got to Korea, but I didn't quite follow through on completely researching it. So that was something we spent a little bit of time that we didn't need to if I had actually fully researched how you got your prepaid cards for the transportation in Seoul. So that is a lesson I've learned that I'm passing on to you. Do your transportation research. Lesson number 21. use the Notes app on your phone to keep track of your daily itinerary, including all of the addresses of places that you need to go. That way you don't have to constantly be looking in your Google Maps for where you're going to go. You'll have everything in one place. I love using Google Notes for everything, but it is especially useful when you need to keep those addresses for your accommodations and the places that you need to go while you are out there sightseeing. Number 22, always figure out what your priorities are for each day, because time might get away from you and you find that you never got a chance to do the one thing you really wanted to do. So make sure you know every day when you go out what your priority is that you absolutely want to do that day. Lesson 23 is that down days are completely legit. When you are traveling and you're going 100 miles per hour every single day to get all of the places in that you want to see, the restaurants eaten at that you want to eat at, you're going to get worn out. So having a day built in, or two, depending on how long you're traveling, that you can just have a chill day. I mean, that doesn't mean you don't do anything, but maybe you leisurely sleep in, get up, have a little coffee, a nice little breakfast. Maybe you just hang out and catch up on things on your computer or post some stuff on social media, and then maybe go out and do one tiny little thing for that day. And then, just having a down day where you're not trying to get 3, 4, or 5 things in one day is totally fine. You don't need to beat yourself up if you're not running 100 miles an hour every single day of your vacation. Lesson number 24, and this was a huge travel fail from my part, is to always check to see if you need a converter or adapter for the electricity in the country that you're going to. And make sure you actually have the right adapter or converter for that country. I stupidly thought that the Japanese and the Korean electrical system would be the same, and they are not. And in fact, Korea and Germany have a very specific type of electrical outlets that it's a little challenging. Even coming back and looking for an adapter to be able to use in those places, it's more challenging to find that adapter or converter than it is to find pretty much anywhere else in the world. So make sure you do your research on what you need to be able to use electricity in the country that you're going to, especially if you want to use things like a hair dryer or curling iron or even your computer. Lesson 25 is a super positive one, and that is that using the Time Shifter app to help with jet lag totally works. I am going to do a full review video about the Time Shifter app and how it does work and how it helped me out in the future. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video. Lesson number 26 is bidets are really nice. In fact, it would be lovely if more bidets were here in the US. Having bidets in almost every public restroom while I was in Japan was quite lovely. And we'll leave it at that. Lesson number 27, seeking out unique experiences is always worth it. In Japan, we stayed at a traditional ryokan, a fancier traditional ryokan, where we had our own onsen in our room, and we were served the traditional dinner, which was like a 2-hour event that was like a whole chef meal. I mean, it was amazing. And then in Korea, we had stayed at a Buddhist temple overnight, which was a whole nother wonderful experience. And both of those were very unique experiences that you don't often hear talked about when you see the touristy things. Try to seek out those unique experiences, and I'll actually have videos on both of those experiences coming out sometime in the future when I get caught up. Lesson 28, and this is one that we definitely struggled with throughout our travels over the 30 days, and that is to always plan extra time for getting from point A to point B, whether that's for a full travel day of getting from one city to another city, or just for your daily travel within a city to get from one site to another site. For whatever reason, it always takes more time than you think it's going to. So just build in a little bit of extra time so you don't miss your ticket time for a site, or you don't miss a train that you need to catch to get to your next location. Lesson 29 is to always, always have a portable charger with you. I can't tell you how many times I ended up using my portable charger. I was using my cell phone to do most of the videoing for this trip and take pictures, but you're also using your phone to figure out directions, to figure out like Google Translate perhaps, or to do other things. Maybe you have your tickets on your phone for an event that you're going to. You never want to let your phone not be charged up while you are traveling. So always carry that portable, and it's a safety thing, right? You need to have a charged up phone when you're out and about. So always carry that portable charger with you. And finally, number 30, bring or buy a tote bag or two. Most places will not give you shopping bags anymore, no matter where you're traveling. And there's not a whole lot of room in your crossbody bag for souvenirs. I do like to bring a stuffable tote bag with me when I travel, but I also found on this trip that there's some super cute tote bags as souvenirs. So I bought a couple of tote bags, one that I kept for myself and I ended up using it for the rest of the trip, and another beautiful tote bag that I actually brought back for my mom. So I was nice and I didn't use that tote bag while I was traveling. I saved it for her. Don't forget, if you're looking to have more strength and energy in your future travels, click my CoPilot link, go.mycopilot.com/GenXGypsy to get a 14-day free trial with your own personal trainer. To help me pack less in the future, I did an assessment of what I actually used on the trip and what items ended up just taking up space. Maybe this video here can help you with your future packing.